Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today for the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. My name is Faina Stern. I'm a physician and founder of the AdMeTech Foundation, the event organizer. AdMeTech is a nonprofit organization providing leadership for the groundbreaking programs in prostate cancer at the state, national, and international levels. Our programs have been transforming patient care for everyone and reducing health disparities in Black, Hispanic, and Latino men. This event is organized in collaboration with the Prostate Cancer Action Council. I'd like to express my gratitude to members of the council. Most of them are our partners for over a decade, including American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, Center for Elimination of Health and Social Inequities and Disparities, SECSED, Community Health Awareness Network, CHEN, Latino Health Insurance Program, LHIP, Massachusetts Prostate Cancer Coalition, MPCC, Men of Color Health Awareness, MOCA, NAACP New England Area Conference, and the Independent Blue Ribbon Expert Panel representing leading academic clinical institutions in Massachusetts. This event is dedicated to the memory of Nak Vaisaki, my father, and Steve Hewlick. My dad was a lifelong warrior for the underprivileged, immigrants, older people, ethnic and racial minorities in particular. It is my dad's diagnosis and the subsequent journey of my family that prompted me to dedicate my career and AdMeTech's work to prostate cancer, and it has been a labor of love. My father attended this event at the State House every year since its establishment in 2009 until he was well into his mid-90s. Representative Kevin Honan, my father's long-term friend, introduced me to Representative Hewlick, a prostate cancer survivor, in 2009. An annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day at the Massachusetts State House was born a few months later. Representative Hewlick was a legislative partner and host of this event since the very beginning until his retirement a few years ago. This event is my father and Representative Hewlick's legacy. I'd like to thank our team that made this event possible, including AdMeTech's staff members, Thomas Satam, Emma Coyard, Trisha Kinney, our Boston College interns, Maddie Freezy and Sarah Scholhorn, event managers, Nancy Petkunas and Josh Garneau of Michael Wasserman, and Bill Windachnet and his team at KLB Productions for technical support. Again, welcome to the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. Once again, welcome to the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. And it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, Lova Kaligo, founder, Community Health Awareness Network, or CHEN. Lova has been our partner since 2019, and together with UMass and Worcester NAACP, she's done a great job. We started with Lova when Worcester was leading Massachusetts in Black mortality, and today there has been drastic reduction in Black mortality in Worcester. Lova, please.
My name is Lovo D. Koligo, and I am the founder and CEO of Community Health Awareness Network. I am a registered nurse originally from Liberia, West Africa. I am a community organizer and resource advocate, specializing in providing education that eliminates ignorance, empowers to take charge, and provide equal access for African immigrants in the Worcester area. The Community Health Awareness Network is a nonprofit 501c3 healthcare organization. And this organization started in 2018, right before COVID. And we are in the state of Massachusetts, Worcester, like I said prior. And our dedication is to improve the health and healthcare access for low-income African immigrants in the greater Worcester area. Our mission is very basic: to empower and strengthen the immigrant community through health awareness, outreach, and access to quality, competent, comprehensive, and culturally sensitive care. Our vision: and empower African immigrant community, individuals that are knowledgeable on prevalent health and or disease condition and able to make informed decisions concerning their health care, which is our major goal, informed decision making. So like I mentioned earlier, community empowerment, referral, and resource allocation is our main focus. We work with African immigrants from age 20 and above, men and women, whether you are new to the city of Worcester or old. We work with immigrant churches, tribal and local social organizations, and immigrant-owned businesses. So who we are in brief, we are an informational hub and healthcare bridge, providing support and connecting individuals to community resources for equal access and better health outcome. What we do? Well, at CHEN, we rely on 4 pillars: education, advocacy, training, and community resources. So for education, we conduct health outreach events, programs, and campaign like we do with prostate cancer. That's one of our main things. We bring individuals together. We connect individuals to resources. So we educate them on disease conditions like prostate cancer, breast cancer, and other health condition that is affecting our community. For training, we have training events like CPR, teaching individuals how to do breast self-exam, and monitoring individuals' blood sugar, teaching people how to do their own blood sugar. We also teach individuals who are not aware or who are not educated on how to take their own blood pressures. So for community resources, we just connect individuals to services, like connecting individuals to organizations like AdMeTech that can provide second opinion or walk them through, walk individuals that are facing prostate cancer issue, walk them through the process of getting help. And advocacy, we advocate to improve and providing comprehensive and culturally responsive healthcare services for individuals that don't know how to do so. So our goal, like mentioned earlier before, we want to promote annual primary care visit, which is a major issue because individuals mostly in this community will go to the doctor's office when they are already facing the problem, when they are at an emergent state where care is not as easy and it's even more expensive. So we want to encourage individuals to stick with our annual provider visit where they can be able to get care at an early stage. We want to reduce frequent ER visits, promote informed decision-making because our main goal is education. You know, the more you know, the better you are able to make informed decisions. So just increasing the knowledge, empowering individuals through knowledge, and increasing trust in the healthcare system, which we have realized that is one reason why people don't seek care, because there is no trust in the system. Our community outreach, we have held workshops, we have barber shops, event, pop-up event, and bystander CPR events. So our partnership, which is my major thing to speak about today, is our connection with AdMeTech. We started since 2019 working with AdMeTech on prostate cancer. And I mean, the knowledge has been vast in the community. People are getting more aware, and the campaign is taking a bigger and better turn. People are asking more questions about prostate cancer, and now with the new prostate cancer equity program, individuals are getting more involved in trying to seek help. So I stand as a resource coordinator in Worcester and just making referrals and helping people work through the process is what I do in Worcester. So thank you to AdMeTech for this great initiative. So for more information, I live in Worcester and you can reach us, our phone number, 774-253-0534. Our website is chainglobal1.org. Email is info@chainglobal1.org. So thank you so much, AdMeTech. We appreciate you for what you do in Worcester. Thank you to Dr. Stern and the rest of the AdMeTech team. Dr. Sokolov, we appreciate everything you do for the immigrant community in Worcester. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lova. Before I will introduce our next speaker, I would like to acknowledge Representative Donata, Senator Feingold, and Representative Chen for joining this event. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for your long-term support. Our next speaker is Jordan Rich of Massachusetts Prostate Cancer Coalition. MPCC has been our partner in this event since 2010. Jordan, please.
Hello from the Massachusetts Prostate Cancer Coalition. I'm Jordan Rich, and many of you know me as the host of the MPCC podcast series, Prostate Cancer and You. MPCC has been a longtime partner with the AdMeTech Foundation in organizing and promoting the annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day at the Massachusetts State House. It's always a productive and exciting day because it showcases the strong support that all of us in the prostate cancer community receive from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Our mission: to educate, connect, and support men at risk, newly diagnosed individuals, survivors, and their families. And we bring together the organizations and professionals in Massachusetts, all sharing a common goal: curing prostate cancer. Visit masspcc.org for resources such as support groups, the podcast Prostate Cancer and You, news about our upcoming symposium, and a whole lot more. So our thanks once again to AdMeTech for organizing the annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day and for inviting us to participate. There have been many advances in the diagnosis, treatment, and understanding of this disease, but still much work needs to be done. The MPCC is proud to be part of these ongoing efforts at this critical time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lamont Scott, coordinator for Men of Color Health Awareness in Greater Springfield area, Hampden County. He will be joined in presentation by Al Hubert, also of MOCA. MOCA has been an outstanding partner in Greater Springfield area. Lamont, please.
Good morning. My name is Lamont Scott. I'm the MOCA project director. I'd like to introduce my right hand and my brother and mentor, Brother Al.
Hey, thank you. First of all, we'd like to say thank you for allowing us to be, MOCA, thank you for allowing us to be here at the Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. We're just grateful to be here to talk about prostate cancer in the Springfield community.
So thank you, Brother Al. So I'm just going to elaborate a little bit about MOCA. MOCA's been around for almost 13 years now. And we've been connected with coming to the State House and supporting prostate cancer and getting out the information. And always we've been bringing a big crowd up to the State House pertaining to prostate cancer so we can get more awareness in Western Massachusetts, especially in Springfield and our surrounding areas, to men of color who may not be aware of the information that needs to get out. We're usually bringing 60 or more people, but seeing that we're doing this virtually today, it's a blessing just to talk about some of the work we've been doing in Springfield. And a lot of the work has been focus groups. It's been attending other functions in the community. We're also part of the Springfield Black Coalition with Bud Williams, where we also get the word out quite regularly, especially through these times of being virtual and still going through some of the pandemic stages. And but we've been successful getting and meeting men and getting our focus groups moving forward. Brother Al, would you like to elaborate on some of the work we've been doing and some of the work that we'd like to talk about?
Thank you, Lamont. Yes, MOCA and AdMeTech has collaborated together to bring education and awareness about prostate cancer in our community. We know that MOCA was developed to target and bring health and awareness, to diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. But the most important thing, that prostate cancer was a silent killer in this pandemic season. And we know that 1 in 7 men, African American men in the United States, will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Bringing education and awareness, African American 1 in 5 will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and then 1 in 3 men whose father or brother has had prostate cancer. So we wanted to educate. We wanted to bring advocacy in our community with the bridge building that we have done with AdMeTech.
Thank you, Brother Al. Also, I'd like to say we also know and have been learning, even though we're not doctors, but we do get we do have the opportunity to getting the information out to men pertaining to prostate cancer, which that's only because of going to the State House regularly over the past 10 years. And thank you, Dr. Sanford James, and also Dr. Stern, for allowing us to be a part of this. There's so many others that I can mention moving forward that supported us as we move forward and getting information out throughout our community. We've done numerous education pieces at different events. And now that we're moving back to maybe, hopefully it won't be virtual, we'll be able to target more men within our community. We also know that diet, exercise, and also regular checkups, we have to hold men accountable to doing that, to find out more information about prostate cancer, because we found out that a lot of men are not educated pertaining to prostate cancer. And that's what we're here for. We do not answer any doctor questions. We leave that up to the professionals, but we do get out there and let men know that they need to get checked regularly, especially being an Afro-American man or a Latino man in the age of 40, just to kind of get an eye and keep a check on things as we move forward. And we also talk to the women, because their wives and significant others, because we know that women are the sole key holders to pushing us to go get our health, with our health and wellness, because we know they do such a great job, and we hopefully we'll kind of follow that piece of it to do the same ourselves. Prostate cancer is not going anywhere, and also my understanding there's new technology that men can find out their PSA levels through a blood work, where it'll be easier and feel more comfortable about going to see the doctor without having to do a digital exam at that point in time. Brother Al?
So we know that he brought up Dr. Sanford, and partnership fueled by common vision and passion and commitment, and the steadfast and support is very important down here in our community about prostate cancer. Once again, Lamar said we're not doctors, but educating and having advocacy in our community will help men to ask important questions with their doctor. And as I said, that 1 in 5 African American men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. So them not knowing that, my grandfather had it, will I be able to get it? And absolutely, if you're not going to be checked on a regular basis, it's so important. And then if you do find that you're with some type of cancerous, surveillance is very important in prostate cancer. You might not have it, but you can, on a regular basis, check. He also talked about digital things.
Digital regular exams, yep.
So we know it's not the finger that's killing us, it's the cancer, and that's what we tell men. So it's not about your pride or your ego, but it's about the cancer that you can develop within a certain age as you get older. So we want to continue to work, and we have worked with other organizations, and he did bring up Springfield, the Black Springfield Coalition with State Representative Bud Williams and Chairman Morgan and Co-Chairman Doris Harris. We're also they are able to support us in bringing information in our community through radio, through community work with these other organizations is so important for us.
Thank you, Brother Al. Just so we don't hold this too long, we just want to wrap it up and say we're more than appreciative to be part of getting the information out and the understanding and awareness pertaining to prostate cancer. And as Brother Al elaborated on, we're also doing some upcoming events coming up. One is going to be a radio show on STCC. We're looking forward to doing a breakfast. And we're also looking forward to hear from other men throughout the state, through Boston, Central Mass. There's some brothers up there that's doing great work. So we'd like to see and hear what they're doing and also stay connected. I seem like this virtual and this pandemic situation with the virus have kind of kept us apart, but hope this will be a place where we can kind of put things back together and collaborate and get more information out pertaining to prostate cancer as we move forward and beyond. Thank you for allowing us the time, and have a blessed day. Brother Al, would you like to say something before we close?
No, once again, Mocha just truly appreciated to be a part of this Prostate Cancer Awareness Day, and we're looking forward to doing great work in our community and with other organizations as we continue to travel this path.
And I'd like to say once and again, Dr. Stern and all the staff, I want to say thank you for allowing us the time and being part of this, and continue to believe in us in the work that we're doing here in Western Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lamont and Al. Your work is particularly appreciated because last couple of years it is Hampden County that leads the state in Black and Hispanic mortality. I would like to thank Representative Walsh, Representative Cabral, Senator Fatman, and Representative Galvin for joining us today. And thank you for your support. At this point, we will proceed with a formal opening of the event with Senate President Spilka, and it is truly my honor to present someone who does not need an introduction, Senate President Karen Spilka.
Hello, I'm Massachusetts Senate President Karen Spilka. I'd like to commend for creating a platform to encourage and sustain the collaboration of so many healthcare providers, academics, businesses, and policymakers on this important issue. Far too many men and their families bear the burden of pain and hardship that this disease can bring, but your work is making a difference. And today, I'd like to highlight 4 areas where our continued partnership is necessary. 1, we must continue to raise awareness around screening and the importance of early detection. While prostate cancer can be deadly, early detection can and does save lives. 2, we need to continue to target our joint outreach to communities of color specifically, as the rate of prostate cancer is much higher among Black and Latino men. In Massachusetts, community outreach programs have used state funds to successfully increase education and early detection. I'd like to give a shout out to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for launching its Black Men Know Your Risk campaign this year, as well as to the Latino Health Insurance Program in Framingham, which specifically targets men who are Spanish and Portuguese speakers in the Metro West communities that I represent. 3, we need to ensure that we continue to keep Massachusetts at the center of global biomedical research. And 4, we must continue to support those living with prostate cancer. Ensuring equitable access to care for all means supporting prostate cancer patients in the short and the long term. And that means supporting our healthcare and human service providers. For awareness raising and research efforts targeted to Black and Latino men, I was proud to support $1 million in funding for AdMeTech in our latest state budget. Massachusetts has a history of leading the way when it comes to innovations in healthcare and medical technology, and a commitment to addressing historical racial inequities. Far from merely improving outcomes for men with prostate cancer, I am very hopeful that with the talent that our state is assembling, we can create a cancer-free future so that prostate cancer is no longer a threat to our friends, neighbors, colleagues, and our loved ones. As Senate President, I pledge to continue to support men who are battling prostate cancer, to help deliver the care and treatment they need, and work to ensure that people have every opportunity to live long and healthy lives. Until that cancer-free future is in our grasp, I encourage all men to talk to their healthcare providers about prostate cancer. And I encourage all of us to continue the fight for cancer awareness. Thank you so very much for all that you do to ensure a healthy future for the men of Massachusetts. Be well and please take good care.
Thank you so much, Senate President. I would like to thank Representative Phillips for joining us for this event. Our next speaker is Speaker of the House, Ronald Mariano, and I would like to thank both Senate President and Speaker of the House for their long-standing support.
Hi, everyone. This is Speaker Ron Mariano. I want to thank the entire team at AdMeTech for putting this event together for the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. I'm honored to address you all for the third time as Speaker of the Massachusetts House. Since I took the gavel, so much of the work that we have done in the House has been about recognizing the disproportionate impact that the pandemic has had on our society and building back stronger than ever. Due to the many underlying racial inequities that exist throughout our society, we have worked hard to ensure that our recovery efforts are carried out fairly. Unfortunately, many of these same inequities can also be found in the fight against prostate cancer. As you all know, prostate cancer strikes 1 in 9 men. Even worse, Black and Latino men are 2.5 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. Because of these troubling statistics, I am grateful for the work that AdMeTech does. The House has been proud to work alongside AdMeTech to promote awareness, education, and research. That's why the legislature has allocated millions of dollars towards funding for prostate cancer research. Through your advocacy work, AdMeTech recognizes that the way to make progress on this issue is to detect and treat prostate cancer early on. Specifically, the work that AdMeTech does to spread awareness about those who are more likely to develop prostate cancer is absolutely critical. While we can all do our part by talking with our doctor about getting screened for prostate cancer, the House will continue to do its part by legislating with the racial and health disparities in mind. I know that the House is committed to working with partners like AdMeTech to do our part in helping to spread awareness and to curtail the damage done by prostate cancer. So thank you again for including me in this discussion. I'm grateful for the efforts being made by so many. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Representative Bolser, thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce a host of this event and a longtime supporter, Senate President Pro Tempore, Will Brownsberger.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be with you today. As you know, I'm a great admirer of the work that the AdMeTech Foundation has been doing through all these years. And your great work through the years, both for women earlier on and now for men with the MRI for prostate. So it's a very significant contribution you've continued to make to raise awareness of all these issues. And so it's a pleasure for me to host this event. And it's also a pleasure for me to bring on behalf of the other co-sponsor, Representative Jerry Cassidy, a beautiful resolution joined by 70 other members of the legislature, which is a huge showing. And I will very briefly read this resolution, which commends the AdMeTech Foundation on recognizing the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day on March 30th, 2023. Whereas the AdMeTech Foundation will recognize the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day on March 30th, and whereas prostate cancer is a public health crisis, central issue in men's health, and the leading healthcare disparity in Black and Hispanic men in the Commonwealth, and whereas, according to the American Cancer Society, prostate cancer will strike over 6,000 men and take the lives of 680 men in the Commonwealth in 2023. And whereas early detection of lethal prostate cancer is critical for saving lives, and research on the advancement of novel precision devices to screening, diagnosis, and treatment are essential for individualized, high-quality patient care and for saving millions of dollars a year in healthcare costs in the Commonwealth. And whereas the AdMeTech Foundation has established a network of prostate cancer action councils, which includes the American Cancer Society, Cancer Action Network of New England, and a host of other important organizations. And whereas it's now resolved that the members of the Massachusetts General Court hereby commend the AdMeTech Foundation for their recognizing the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day and extend their sincerest appreciation to the AdMeTech Foundation for their continuous dedication to saving lives, improving the standard of care, and ending prostate cancer as a public health crisis and a leading health disparity. And be it further resolved that a copy of these resolutions be forwarded by the Clerk of the House of Representatives to the AdMeTech Foundation. So that document is signed by the Senate President, by the Speaker of the House, by the Clerk of the House, by the Clerk of the Senate, by Representative Cassidy and myself, and by 70 other members of the legislature expressing their strong support for the wonderful work that the AdMeTech Foundation has been doing and will continue to do. And you heard the Senate President and the Speaker express their strong support for the work you're doing. So we are a united legislature in supporting the work that you're doing. And I'm pleased to be with you today and pleased to host this event. Thank you for having me in that role.
Will, I cannot thank you enough for years and years of your support and encouragement for our program. Thank you. I would like to thank Representative Burrows and Representative Blaze for joining us today at this event. Our next speaker is another champion of prostate cancer program at the State House, Senate Majority Leader Cynthia Cream.
It's a pleasure to come before you today to reflect on the progress we've made in prostate cancer education, research, and access to care since our first Prostate Cancer Awareness Day way back in 2011. For 13 years, the Massachusetts General Court has remained steadfast on making prostate cancer a public health priority in men's health. Thank you, Cheryl Bartlett and Dr. Faina Stern, for inviting me and for your ongoing efforts to make prostate cancer a public health priority. The AdMeTech Foundation, a leader in Massachusetts and around the world because of its commitment and action to improving prostate cancer care. Their groundbreaking research and creation of improved diagnostic and therapeutics tools has changed the lives of many. But that's not enough. Our medical providers must know about those breakthroughs. That's why the AdMeTech Foundation convenes a summit that educates thousands of providers about best practices for prostate cancer care. But even then, it's not enough. Men need to be educated to better understand risk factors and treatment options, particularly in underserved communities, and that all men have access to the best care. That's why the AdMeTech Foundation hosts community workshops in areas with the highest rate of prostate cancer mortality, bringing experts who can share the most up-to-date information about risk, diagnosis, and treatment. And it's why the foundation launched the Prostate Cancer Equity Program, which improves access to cutting-edge clinical care for the Black, Latino, and Hispanic men who are at the highest risk. Thanks to the comprehensive approach to prostate cancer care, the AdMeTech Foundation saves countless lives every year. And with all of our support, it will continue to save lives. I'm so proud to support the foundation's work, and I'm in awe at all it has accomplished. Thank you again for inviting me to join you today.
Thank you so much, Senator Cream. Our next speaker is Senator Rush. Like Senator Cream, Senator Rush is our long-standing champion of prostate cancer issues at the State House.
Senator Mike Rush of the Norfolk and Suffolk District. And I just want to say thank you and what an honor and a privilege it is to be with all of you tonight. And I cannot believe that this great event has been going on for 14 years. A very special shout out to Dr. Stern and AdMeTech Foundation for the commitment, the dedication, and the work to make this happen, with the end goal of making sure that we continue to realize that prostate cancer is a public health priority. So the fact that we're back together for this event certainly shows an unbelievable and unwavering commitment. And again, I am proud to be part of this team and can't thank Dr. Stern and AdMeTech and all of you who are involved in this such important issue. And I am just thrilled to be here with you and look forward to continuing working together and getting this issue solved. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senate Majority Whip Rush. Our next speaker is a long-term friend of AdMeTech Foundation and prostate cancer champion of ending health disparities in Massachusetts, particularly in Hampden County, Representative Carlos Gonzalez. He's a chair of Joint Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. He is also immediate past chair of the Massachusetts Legislative Black and Latino Caucus. Carlos, please.
But good morning to all, and thank you, AdMeTech and Dr. Stearns, for the work that you've done throughout the years, and particularly your 14th year doing this type of event, to continue to invest in communities of color by educating them and saving the state millions of dollars by providing the education necessary, particularly here in Hampden County and Springfield, Massachusetts, where you've done countless of numbers of trainings and educational events to make sure that the Black and Latino men that have been disproportionately impacted by this horrific cancer is addressed. So I thank you. I congratulate you and your team. And again, the money that we provide you from the state is an investment that saves the state millions of dollars. And I don't want to go into the statistics of how it's impacting Black men and Hispanic men more times than others, because we all know the statistics. The solution is what matters. The education is key. And we thank you and congratulate you for your years of effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce Representative Bud Williams. He is a chair, Joint Committee on Racial Equity, Civil Rights and Inclusion, and chair of Massachusetts Black and Latino Caucus, and support of the prostate cancer awareness and education in Greater Springfield, Hampden County, since his election in 2017. Representative Williams.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Stern. And as I always say, we have to have a quarterback, and you're the quarterback. I know you don't look for any credit, you don't look for any kudos, but you are an amazing woman. And as I think of your dad, and I think of former Rep. Kulik, who was from Western Massachusetts, and the great work that they have done, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So you keep fighting for equality, and you keep fighting for the people. To Speaker Mariano and President Spilka, thank you for your continued support, and realize that the funding of $1 million is always very, very important. And to my men of Mocha, Bo and Lamont Scott, who are amazing individuals who have been on the forefront. We've started this Black COVID Coalition, and prostate has always been on the forefront with us. We continue to fight very hard for our community. But with all that being said, 14 beautiful years, I would like to start by thanking AdTech Foundation for inviting me to be part of this event. As chair of both the Joint Committee on Racial Equity, Civil Rights and Inclusion and the Massachusetts Legislative Black Latino Caucus, I am proud to be part of the state legislature that set up a historical precedent and recognized prostate cancer as a public health priority in all men and leading healthcare disparities in Black men. According to the American Cancer Society, prostate cancer will strike nearly 6,000 men and lead to the loss of 680 lives in Massachusetts projected for 2023. In Hampden County and in my district and Carlos Gonzalez district, prostate cancer facts are unacceptable. According to the latest data from the National Cancer Institute, Hampden County leads the state in prostate cancer mortality in Black and Hispanic men. In our state, Black men are more than twice likely to die from prostate cancer compared to white men. This loss of our men is particularly unacceptable because early detection saves lives. To deal with the public health crisis, I have an important call to action to all Massachusetts men aged 40 and older, and Black men in particular. Contact AdMeTech Foundation to learn about prostate cancer equity program that ensures the best patient care available today and support each man. The program integrates efforts of prostate cancer advocates, educators, and leading medical professionals to eliminate inequalities between Black and white men in our community and our state, and sets an example for the station. Also, Dr. Stern, I talked with Commissioner Helen Colton, and we had talked a couple of weeks ago about creating a position in Hampden County for prostate cancer. She's very interested in it. We will, after we finish today, we will reach out to you, set a meeting up, and we will make that happen. But thank you for saving lives and being a true champion for all of the families and men in Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Williams. I am so happy to hear the news about the public health department in Hampden County, because statistic, as I've been ringing alarms last couple of years, prostate cancer statistics in Hampden County are not moving in the right direction. And we must focus on 3 counties right now: Hampden County, Suffolk County, and Middlesex County. So thank you so much for your support and everything you do in making sure that a couple of years from now, we will come back to this event and we will be celebrating the kind of differences we've seen in Plymouth County and Worcester County. Actually, I will say a few words about our prostate cancer equity program. Bill, please. My colleagues at Mass General Brigham and UMass will describe recent advances in clinical care and research. The focus of my talk is on the prostate cancer equity program launched last year to bring these advances in patient care to every man in Massachusetts and eliminate health disparities. Prostate cancer equity program is an integral part of the AdMeTech's ongoing statewide program in prostate cancer that created a Massachusetts model of national leadership in public awareness, medical education, and research. We are grateful to Senate President Spilka, Speaker of the House Mariano, and many other Massachusetts legislators who made this program possible. Our primary focus on high-risk men, Black, Hispanic, and Latino individuals, and all men with family history of prostate cancer and increasing age, 50 and older. This program was initiated since 2009 in collaboration with members of the Prostate Cancer Action Council and has 3 components: public awareness, community education, medical education, and research. Our public awareness, community education, and outreach is focused on the most vulnerable and underserved individuals. Since February last year, we reached over 11,000 underprivileged individuals. Since 2019, our public awareness and education programs reached over 38,000 people. For public awareness and education, our messaging centered on the importance of screening and early detection, critical for saving lives. Early detection is particularly important for Black, including Hispanic men, who are about 2.5 times more likely to die compared to white men. With early detection of prostate cancer, every man is alive in 5 years. In sharp contrast with late diagnosis, when cancer is spread to other organs, only 28% of men remain alive at the same time. In 2015, we were concerned about Plymouth County, which led the state in Black mortality. At that time, health disparities in prostate cancer were higher in Plymouth County compared to state average, as shown in blue columns. Black men were 2.7 times more likely to die compared to white men. Consequently, we formed partnership with Brockton NAACP to initiate a broad community engagement and large-scale awareness campaign. It has been supported by the Good Samaritan Medical Center. By 2021, as shown in red columns, we saw over 55% reduction in disparity in death rate between Black and white men, reaching near parity. At this time, Black men are only 1.2 times more likely to die compared to white men in Plymouth County. This is disparity level, which is much lower compared to state average. During the same 6-year period between 2015 and 2021, we have not seen significant reduction in disparities in death rate at the state level. We saw a similar impact on Black mortality in Worcester County in partnership with UMass, Community Health Awareness Network, and Worcester NAACP. We hope to expand our work with our partners to achieve a similar impact across the state. The center of our medical education is AdMeTech's annual Global Summit on Precision Diagnosis and Treatment of Prostate Cancer, established in 2016. The latest 6th annual conference took place in September last year. Our summit has been recognized as a seminal event in shaping the state-of-the-art and future vision for patient care. Our summit brings together the key international experts representing every clinical expertise to review the best emerging clinical practices and research priorities. Last September, we had over 200 attendees. Grand Rounds in Urology serves as our media partner, publishing scientific presentations and reaching over 15,000 physicians. Summit 2022 was extensively covered by Urology Today, a trade publication reaching over 35,000 physicians across the globe. International participation in this event is rapidly growing, largely due to our speakers at past attendees who recently formed an international organizing committee. It's difficult to find any corner of the world that has not participated in this event. Summit 2022 showed rapid advances in patient care. In screening, our summit supports clinical practice guidelines recommended by the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, consisting of over 28 cancer hospitals and their leading experts. High-risk men, including individuals with Black heritage and with family history of prostate cancer, are recommended to start screening with PSA blood test at the age of 40. Average risk men should start screening at the age of 45. This first, or what we call baseline screening test in younger men, has emerged as one of the most important indicators for identifying men at risk of lethal prostate cancer long-term over more than 10 years. In diagnostics, we have seen emergence of very accurate non-invasive tools such as blood, urine, and saliva analysis for molecular and genetic markers, and advanced imaging, including ultrasound, MRI, and molecular imaging. This non-invasive diagnostics highlighted the importance of PSA screening and shifted past concerns about screening into a dustbin of history. For example, these diagnostics can determine which individual man has an increased risk of life-threatening, rapidly progressing prostate cancer, improve early detection, critical for saving lives, reduce unnecessary procedures such as biopsies and treatment, and optimize selection of personalized care for each man, including careful observation, what we call active surveillance, minimally invasive interventions, or immediate radical treatment. High-risk individuals, including Black men, carry higher risk of both mortality and unnecessary procedures. Consequently, it is critical for them to have access to precision diagnostics that determine for each individual if he should or should not have invasive biopsy or treatment, and what options in clinical care are best for him. Unfortunately, in Massachusetts, compared to white men, Black men are less likely to have precision diagnostics such as advanced imaging, MRI or molecular imaging, molecular or genetic testing, and to undergo life-saving treatment. Prior to undergoing invasive biopsy or treatment, it is important for each man to discuss with his doctor if any non-invasive testing is available to determine if these procedures are actually needed, and if yes, what kind of options would work best for him. For example, in this slide, MRI shows prostate cancer lesions and guides biopsy needles with precision. AdMeTech has led research and development and large-scale implementation of prostate MRI since 1998. In 2013, Massachusetts legislature funded clinical trial of prostate MRI, which produced groundbreaking data that were presented at Summit 2016. By early 2017, 6 months later, NCCN recommended MRI as the new standard of patient care prior to biopsy and treatment. These guidelines essentially ended the era of blind patient care. Our summit highlighted the importance of MRI in Black men who are likely to have lesions in the front part of the prostate that are difficult to find by physical exam or standard blind biopsies performed without accurate imaging. In men with prostate cancer, there are two pillars of the current diagnostics: MRI and genetics. While MRI shows cancer location and local spread or stage, genetic analysis of cancer tissue reveals underlying biology and probability of progression. Emerging data indicate the importance of genetic testing for many high-risk men, Black men in particular, for selecting the most effective treatment. With this precision diagnostics, we can now accurately determine if each individual has a slow-growing, so-called harmless disease and needs only careful observation or minimally invasive procedures, or if this individual has an aggressive prostate cancer requiring immediate life-saving treatment. More recently, molecular imaging has been shown to play an important role in staging of prostate cancer, including detection of the presence of metastatic spread and return of prostate cancer after treatment. For example, molecular imaging with PSMA has become available at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute since August 2021. On the left, we can see a regular bone scan showing no metastatic spread. On the right, with molecular imaging, we can see extensive metastatic disease. This information is important for selecting appropriate treatment. We are proud to have led research and development of molecular imaging since 2001. Our summit concluded that equal access to high-quality care is the key factor in improving patient outcomes for all men and eliminating health disparities in Black men. It is particularly important now with so many novel diagnostic and therapeutic approaches, ensuring high quality, personalized patient care. Without equal access to these advances in patient care, we will see a widening gap in health inequalities, including survival and mortality. Consequently, AdMeTech launched the Prostate Cancer Equity Program in Massachusetts in collaboration with Mass General Brigham, UMass, and other clinical institutions, with the mission to save lives and deliver high-quality care. Supporting organizations include Latino Health Insurance Program and NAACP New England Area Conference, with their multiple branches located across the state. Our goal is to expedite access to leading experts who use the most advanced approaches to screening, diagnosis, and treatment available today, and support men every step of their medical journey. This program helps men to find an expert for the initial or a second opinion in person or virtual visits. Any Massachusetts man age 40 and older can take part. Our priority focus is on Black, Hispanic, and Latino men who are at high risk of prostate cancer, delayed diagnosis, poor quality care, and death. We believe that in Massachusetts, with its leading hospitals and universal access to care, our prostate cancer equity program will be able to eliminate health disparities. Experts of the prostate cancer equity program can address any questions about prostate health, from assessing an individual healthy man's personal risk of prostate cancer to informing men about all available options before and after screening, biopsies, and treatment. We are committed to supporting men during every step of their medical journey to ensure that no man is left behind or struggling alone. To achieve this goal, we created a streamlined VIP-style process of patient referral and care, reflecting how doctors involved in this program take care of our families and friends. This process consists of three components. First, AdMeTech Foundation Administrative Coordinator collects basic information and matches individual patients' needs with the experienced nurse for patient education and the appropriate state's experts for clinical care. Second, a clinical organization designates a patient navigator who works with multiple schedulers to expedite a medical visit and related needs, including registration into healthcare system, transportation, and financial assistance if needed. Third, if an expert recommends any next steps, AdMeTech's coordinator, educator, and patient navigator work with patients on the appropriate follow-up, such as, for example, testing or treatment. To ensure successful implementation of this program, AdMeTech has created a network of leading state experts committed to eliminating health disparities, develop an effective process for patient care and follow-up, as mentioned, recruited community coordinators in high-risk areas who mobilize a network of over 75 program ambassadors, community, organizational, and church leaders, and held multiple focus groups to develop program materials and strategy. Our current goal is to identify and mobilize appropriate organizations and individuals so that men, their primary doctors, and caregivers have access to this program. Trisha Kinney, a member of the AdMeTech Foundation staff, serves as a statewide administrative coordinator and the initial contact for the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. Ronald Green, a registered nurse, provides patient education and is available to men before and after appointments with experts. Ron has more than 40 years of clinical experience. He is past president of the New England Region Black Nurses Association. Latino Health Insurance Program helps men to obtain health insurance, such as Mass Health, if needed. If you have any questions or need assistance, please contact Trisha by phone 617-5 523-3535 or by email coordinator@admetechfoundation.org. She will be able to connect you with Ron and the appropriate experts as needed. Thank you for your attention. The Prostate Cancer Equity Program is a trailblazing program. To the best knowledge of my own or my clinical colleagues from Mass General and UMass, nobody even attempted such a program before. We, together with Mass General and Brigham, we enrolled over 200 patients into this program. And at this point, I would like to ask several generous men who agreed to share their experience with Prostate Cancer Equity Program so far. But before that, I would like to acknowledge a number of representatives who joined us for this event: Representative Ferguson, Representative Saunders, Representative Elliott, Reyes, and Consalvo. Thank you so much for joining us. And I believe Representative Phillips. Thank you so much. The first speaker, the first patient, I should say healthy man, who agreed to share his experience with Prostate Cancer Active Program is Sean Carberry. Sean is an editor of a national defense magazine in Washington, D.C., but his father, John Carberry, is a member of the board for the Prostate Cancer Massachusetts Prostate Cancer Coalition. When he heard about our program from Judy Green at MPCC, from Garth Greiman, from Alan Snyder, who I believe are here today, John came to me to help his son, Sean, who was going through worries about increased PSA. And here is Sean Carberry's story.
Hi, my name's Sean Carberry. I'm 54 and I live in Washington, D.C. and work as a journalist here. And I've been fortunate in my life to have very loving and supporting family, but I do have some complaints about the DNA they handed me. First and foremost is this situation, but more seriously is a history of prostate cancer. And my maternal grandfather died at 66. My father was diagnosed at 49, successfully treated, and thankfully still alive today. And his father was diagnosed with a non-fatal prostate cancer late in life. So for me, that meant starting early with routine PSA screening. So since my late 30s, I'd been getting checked annually. Level was consistently low, no problems until last year. And my level shot up to 4.8, which while that wasn't too high in and of itself, it was triple what it was the year before. And a follow-up test a month later had gone up to 5.5. So that meant going through the process of determining what it was. So I connected with a urologist and started what was going to be a lengthy process of getting into his office, getting an MRI and potentially biopsy, dealing with insurance and all sorts of bureaucracy that was adding levels of anxiety to what was already a stressful situation. In the meantime, my father was able to connect me with AdMeTech, and they reached out immediately and informed me of the Prostate Cancer Equity Program, and almost instantaneously had me connected with and essentially enrolled in a program at the National Institutes of Health with Dr. Peter Pinto. And so from my first visit to NIH through the end of the process, I was just astounded at how efficient, focused, clear, and still patient-centric the whole process was. I didn't have to spend time dealing with paperwork and making lots of phone calls and things like that from the initial registration, blood work, EKG, initial clinic visit and assessment and family history, just clear, professional, focused. And one of the keys to that is prostate cancer is all they do. And so it made things very easy on my end. We went through the MRI process. Fortunately, that came back clear. However, they still recommended, because of my family history and the unexplained increase in PSA, to go through with the biopsy. They took the time to explain the procedure, the different options, and ensure that I was comfortable on board all the way through it. Again, they were clear, took time, and made sure that I didn't have to do anything other than focus on my health. The biopsy was relatively easy process from my end, and fortunately, a couple weeks later, they called and said it was clear. So we don't know exactly what caused the increase in my PSA, but at least they were able to rule out cancer at that time. So if anything happens in the future, I know where I'm going. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else or dealing with any other team or process after that experience. Again, they really ensured that it was about my health care and not bureaucracy and not endless visits and follow-ups. All of my time with them was efficient. It was clear, and it was comfortable. So I'm grateful to Dr. Pinto and his team and everyone at NIH who took care of me through the whole process, and grateful for AdMeTech and Dr. Stern and the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. And it's something that I'm grateful is there. I hope no one else ever has to take advantage of it. And I frankly hope I'd never see any of those folks again, at least in their professional setting. Seriously, thanks to all of them, and just very grateful for the program, and obviously very happy for my results, and hoping it stays that way, and good health to everyone.
Thank you so much, Sean. It's important for me to emphasize that what I already said in my presentation, that the physicians we chose to take care of our men within Prostate Cancer Equity Program is the kind of physicians and the kind of process of patient support that we will choose for our families. The next generous man who agreed to share his story and his history with Prostate Cancer Equity Program is Ken Reeves, who became a dear friend. Ken is a president of Cambridge NAACP.
My name is Kenneth Reeves. I am the president of the Cambridge branch of the NAACP, as well as the former mayor of the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts. My intention is to say a word about the AdMeTech Foundation and its offerings and benefits, particularly to communities of color and particularly to Black men facing issues with respect to prostate cancer. I would say that in Cambridge, we've been in the men of color health business for more than 25 years. And so we have a men of color health outreach. However, I think we've become much more knowledgeable about ways in which we can assist the men of our city. And we particularly have become much more knowledgeable about prostate cancer and its impact on particularly Black men, who are 5 times as likely to be affected by prostate cancer than white men. So that being the case, and I've dealt with prostate cancer theoretically, and then 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I have my own journey. And after diagnosis, I was able to hear what my treatment options were. And I chose something called CyberKnife, which is a 6-day treatment where you go every day for about an hour. There is a laser approach to the cancer. And after that, I was able to be clear for almost 2 years. And then suddenly my PSA, or prostate specific antigen number, kept going up, and no one could figure out why. And I had many MRIs and other tests. And that's when I met AdMeTech, because I was describing this to a friend, and they said, "It sounds like you're lost in the maze of what to do when your numbers are inexplicable. So I was in touch with our Dr. Stern, and basically I had to tell her there is a test that they don't have in Boston that I need to have. It's an imaging test. It's very advanced. It's in Europe, but not yet approved by the FDA. And she said, I'll get it for you. And she was able to arrange it through Sloan Kettering in New York. So after much red tape and bureaucracy, I was able to get that imaging test, and it did find where the prostate cancer had moved to an area around my lung, which my doctor, who's a very important, famous department head at Dana-Farber, said he had only seen one case in his career, so he was pretty sure it wasn't to the lung. So I then learned that, the physicians are great, but they're not God. So I called him and said, guess what? I'm number 2. And after being number 2, I still have had to have these various questions that I don't feel competent to answer about what next steps should be in my medical care. So while I have a wonderful team at Dana-Farber, who Dr. Stern led me to, but even in all that wonderfulness, there are questions that I don't feel competent to answer. So she just 2 days ago helped me to answer 2 great big questions. So I think this is timely for you to hear that. In my big questions were whether I should participate in a particular study, which would, I'm now on a very expensive pill that has my PSA number at 00000. So this is $16,000 a month. And the question asked of me by my doctor is would I would participate in a trial which would essentially stop this pill, let the cancer come back, and then observe what that does with respect to the testosterone level. And the doctor also said, well, we don't get many Black men in trials, so we'd like to get it would be important if you were to say yes. And so this was hanging over my head like a cloud. I couldn't decide because I want to do whatever I can do that will be helpful to both science and to prostate cancer with respect to Black men, because self-interest is a wonderful motivator. Her immediate reaction was, not for you, because you had one of only 2 cases with your particular doctor. The experience with people like you for such a trial is too small. And so you should be very thankful to the doctor, but it's not for you. Thank God for having a foundation that's devoted to navigating men of color through the maze of prostate cancer to be able, with a scientific point of view, give that kind of direction and consultation. So I must say that is great. I also got to talk to her about a second thing, had to do with neuropathy. And so I went to a neuropathy doctor who was the head of neuropathy at the Brigham and at Dana-Farber. I got a clean bill of health, meaning that whatever neuropathy I have is appropriate for my age and for my diabetic status. But then Dr. Stern introduced the issue of vascular. The neuropathy is basically your hands and feet. The vascular is the veins in your legs going down to feet. She suggested, well, maybe you want to see a vascular person too, to get the fullest picture of what's going on with the circulation. Trust me, I have a lot of education and a lot of good exposures, but I think what AdMeTech is offering is the possibility to get the best advice for the best care possible at this time. And I want all men of color in Massachusetts to have that. So I couldn't recommend this program more highly based on my own personal experience and those people who I can recommend. This is my story and my song, but I must say that I have been very much helped by the advice and direction and management of AdMeTech.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reeves. Our next speaker is George Brickhouse. George is a distinguished community leader in the Brockton community. When George volunteered to serve as a program ambassador for the Prostate Cancer Equity Program, he took part in our focus groups and expressed concern about his care, particularly he was not entirely comfortable, and he will share his experience. George, please.
I have to say that having the opportunity to listen to the men and women that have gone on before me here on the program has just been exciting. But I have to point out that to Dr. Stern, my buddy Steve Bernard, my surgeon, Dr. Tren, to Josh for AdMeTech technical support for getting me here, my flatmate, Dr. Lori Pinkham, and my brother Keith, who's also gone through the procedure. I came into AdMeTech because the gentleman that I had been sent to through my primary seemed to be in a hurry. He wanted to just jump right in and we got to take care of this. And we got to move on this. And I became uncomfortable because it was just so quick. I mean, to find out that there's an aspect of my body that might be betraying me to the point where it could, I guess, shorten my lifespan, just really kind of frightened me. And I got invited to a Zoom call by Steve Bernard. Then after the Zoom call, Dr. Stern called me personally and said, "We have a program that you've been listening to. Would you be interested in participating in it?" And I said, if you really care about me, yes. And she said, "Yes, we care about you because we care about what medicine has not done for men of Black and brown from the beginning of maybe medicine, because maybe it's been a way to, I see it as a way of affecting our communities. That as an educational advocate, having gone into the schools and working with young people now and trying to bring new programs into the school. Education and medicine are two areas of concern that if we do not have, then our communities will continue to suffer on the whole. And it's not just the numbers that have shown Black and brown and all men. This affects all men, and it affects all of our communities if we do not address what is right in front of us right now. And that's truth. And the fact that we live in a world right now where truth is not a dominant piece of what is ongoing. Just the fact that AdMeTech brings a level of truth to what has not been and what has to be and what must be if we are going to advance as a people. And I had my procedure with Dr. Tren, a great guy. And we left it that there are things that we can do, but what do you want to do? And one of the things that we could do was, why don't we come back in 6 months and take a look at the numbers and see where we're at? And then we'll decide where we go from there. I think I'm about a month or so out from the 6-month date. And I'm excited, but I'm also comfortable with whatever transpires because I know it's the will of God. And the fact that God brought me to AdMeTech and Dr. Stern and all of you who have participated today in what is going on as I said, my bigger thought is this is something that we as a people must take a look at because it affects all of us as a people. A Black man not being in the family subjects the family to all of the inadequacies that the world has put upon those of color and those who are not economically solvent enough to move forward. There is the difference in between those who have and those who have not, and education in medicine can close the gap, and we must, by all means, continue to do what we need to do to make sure that we close that gap. And as I said, I pray to the living God, and once again, I am blessed by Dr. Stern, Steve Bernard, my surgeon, Dr. Tren, my flatmate, Dr. Lori Pinkham, and my brother Keith, and once again to Josh for AdMeTech technical support for getting me here. God bless all.
Thank you so much. George, do you want to comment, when you look at your care before prostate cancer equity program and after prostate cancer equity program, do you want to address what is the major difference that you see?
The major difference was I was asked, how do you want to proceed? It was not, we need to do this now. And the first thing that hit my mind was, are you coming up short on a condo payment down on the Cape? And so we need to move this quickly? It wasn't, how do you want to do this? But with AdMeTech and with Dr. Tren, it was, what do you want to do? And Dr. Tren, our first phone call was that of a joke. And I won't take up a lot of time here with the joke, but Dr. Tren laughed. And so the fact that we could find something that could both bring a smile to our face and some joy to our heart, in the fact that, as I said, my focus has always been throughout history, throughout the history of this country, there has been a shortcoming in education and medicine. And it's not an accident, it's by design. And the fact that Dr. Stern is and AdMeTech are fighting back against that. I'm just proud to be one of the soldiers and willing to go forward. And as I said, I'm blessed by God to be here today. And I hope that he will continue to bless me today and tomorrow. The people who support me, I'm grateful for.
George, do you want to comment if patient navigator at Mass General Brigham was helpful, Katie Merpert?
Very, very much so. I mean, we became phone buds. The thing was, we said, hey, one day, hey, we'll connect with an eyeball to eyeball, maybe at Faneuil Hall, because we become phone buds. And as I said, to reach out in terms of to let men of brown, Black, white know that we have to come together, because if we don't take care of our health, then we don't take care of our families and we don't take care of our communities. And if we don't take care of our communities, then we have no one else to blame but ourselves, because AdMeTech brings this to your door. It brings it right to your door that we can do this. And if you can't Zoom it, then we're going to come to your neighborhood so we can do it in person. But we will bring it right to your door. And every one of us as a man should say, I know at least 5 people that if you're in my neighborhood, I'm going to bring at least 5 people. Everybody should reach out and say, I can bring people to this health-saving, community-saving, people-saving opportunity. And I should do it because it's not that I'm a Christian, but I believe in God. And God has given us each a mission, and it says to take care of widows, children, and those who do not have. Then do what you're supposed to do. Save our communities, because there are those who would rather not see them. Be safe.
Thank you so much, George. And what stories shared by Sean, by Mr. Reeves, by George, they basically are representative of what the mission of our program is, which is to provide men with the best information available today on the options of patient care and empower them in making decisions, in choosing options that work for them. It's also very important for us to support men every step of the way. It is done by Tricia, it is done by Ron Green at AdMeTech, it is done by patient navigators like Katie Mayport at Mass General Brigham. At this point, I would like to introduce actually a physician who took care of George Brickhouse, Dr. Kwok Trink, who is MD, MBA, Section Chief of Urology, Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital, co-director of Dana-Farber Brigham and Women's Prostate Cancer Program, and Associate Professor of Surgery at Harvard Medical School. Before we will proceed with Dr. Trink's presentation, I would like to thank Representative McKenna and Representative Wen for joining us today. Dr. Trink.
Hi, my name is Kwok Trin. I'm the Chief of Urology at Brigham Women's Faulkner Hospital. Today, I will talk about our prostate cancer outreach clinic at Mass General Brigham, and specifically our collaborative efforts with the AdMeTech Foundation to reduce prostate cancer disparities in New England, and specifically the great state of Massachusetts. To understand the framework of our outreach efforts, it's important to understand three considerations. The first one is that health systems, especially Mass General Brigham, need to play a role in providing population health for all and emphasizing the all. Number two is that minorities, as we call them, will soon constitute greater than 50% of the US population. And as the demographics of the population we serve changes, we as a health system also have to change. And the third consideration, most important to why we are tackling prostate cancer, is that prostate cancer disproportionately affects Black men. Mortality is more than twofold higher compared to white men. But we also think that access to care is the main, if not a very important driver of those differences. So let me illustrate that point with a number of studies that we have been involved in. For one, in this study, which the Prostate Cancer Foundation named one of the most provocative studies of that year, is that yes, there is a huge gap in mortality and outcomes between Black and white men. But as you account for other factors, including access to care, where you got access to care, did you get treatment or not, and how bad was your cancer at presentation, those differences go away to a point where in some circumstances, Black men actually may be doing better. And this was demonstrated again and again in other studies using other registries, but also prospective trial data that was accumulated in specific circumstances where, again, Black men actually do better than white men when all these other differences are accounted for. But then you could say, well, it doesn't matter too much because everybody gets good care in the state of Massachusetts. But unfortunately, that is not true. In this study that we conducted in association with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, we found that Black men were 22% less likely to receive treatment for prostate cancer. And this is among men who we felt strongly should be getting treatment. Other pieces of evidence comes from the great military health system. And as we know, in the military health system, if you are a service member or a member of the family of that service member, you will receive care regardless of your race and where you live. And what we found in looking at data in the military health system is that those so-called disparities in prostate cancer, they actually go away and everybody has similar outcomes. And this is not just true for prostate cancer, it's actually true for other conditions, including colon cancer. And then finally, in this study that we published recently, we found that there's structural differences in outcomes between hospital systems serving health disparities populations, and these are hospitals that predominantly treat, for example, minority populations or uninsured and Medicaid populations, And those differences include the receipt of treatment, how fast treatment is delivered, and unfortunately also outcomes of survival after treatment. And this is even when you adjust and account for things such as race, there are differences in such hospitals compared to hospitals that don't predominantly treat a minority population or a population of uninsured and Medicaid patients. So armed with that data, we did a stakeholder analysis, and this was supported by a grant from the American Cancer Society. And we talked to 80 grassroots organizations, physician executives, physicians, nurse navigators, payers, and tried to understand what are the drivers of access to care disparities in prostate cancer in Massachusetts. And a number of very important themes came along. Some of them include the fact that minority men don't necessarily trust these large healthcare systems that are predominantly taking care of, let's say, a suburban affluent population. There's also the thought that physicians increasingly recognize that there is an issue, but they don't feel adequately supported to tackle the problem. So this is where the Mass General Brigham Prostate Cancer Outreach came about. This is an initiative led by myself and Adam Feldman, who is my counterpart at the Mass General Hospital. And the idea here is to offer high quality, accessible, and affordable. To deliver on this promise, a number of different initiatives were done. And one of them is the initiative that is very successful and has been done with the AdMeTech Foundation. And this is the Prostate Cancer Equity Program, High Quality Care for All. So as part of this initiative, we have done a number of patient engagement events where we teamed up with AdMeTech and went to grassroots communities to talk about prostate cancer, but also other things, including men's health, COVID-19, and things that would be of interest to minority populations. And through that program, we have provided second opinions for a number of minority men looking at things ranging from, should I be getting prostate cancer screening, but also, is this the right treatment for me, given that I have prostate cancer? At the center of this initiative, which has been extremely successful, is to have a community navigator between the patient and the system. Because as we know, everything can be very complicated, and that ranges from, is the healthcare coverage adequate, access to transportation, et cetera, et cetera. And our community healthcare worker has made sure that these patients got the care that they needed and that they deserved. A number of metrics would ideally be measured as part of such an initiative, and that includes the number of referrals, but that also includes the receipt of appropriate and timely care, patient experience, outcomes, and ultimately cost of care associated with the care of individuals who are referred through this program. We are also proud to say that research is a monumental part of our initiative, and a number of grants have been successfully funded by different mechanisms, including the Department of Defense, to study, for example, transportation barriers for underserved populations, and again, within the context of the Mass General Brigham Prostate Cancer Outreach Clinic. Most recently, we have been featured in a number of media and local outlets, and this includes the DEI Town Hall, which was led by our president at Brigham and Women's Hospital, Dr. Robert Higgins, for example. This includes also a number of events. And as you can see on the right here, Mayor Wu was present at one of our recent outreach events that was held as part of a large event on the Mass General side. And also in the Boston Globe, our efforts were featured and we were able to talk a little bit about this initiative and the early successes of our program. So the early results of this program is that the Prostate Cancer Outreach Clinic, in collaboration with AdMeTech, has established a number of consultations. We have seen an increased number of referrals, an increased diagnoses of prostate cancer in a number of minority populations. And ultimately, we will see in the long term if we have been successful in making a difference in prostate cancer disparities. Just to finish, I do want to highlight the difficulties of and the challenges of health equity, because as much of energy and efforts are made by community health workers, by AdMeTech, by our leadership, it is still difficult to achieve equity. And for example, in the case of this patient who was initially seen in 2017 for an elevated PSA, even today, we have yet to diagnose his prostate cancer for a number of reasons, including how difficult it has been to reach this patient, more than 18 documented phone calls, but more importantly, really highlights the challenges of equity and how much effort we need to make to deliver equitable care for all. So in conclusion, this outlines our efforts to deliver better prostate cancer care for all. More importantly, I tried to highlight the importance of access to care, and that we hope that by providing better access to care through outreach efforts with AdMeTech, eventually we will decrease prostate cancer mortality in New England and specifically in Massachusetts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kwok. Our next speaker is Dr. Adam Feldman, who is Director of Combined Harvard Urologic Oncology Fellowship. He is Associate Professor of Surgery at Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard Medical School. And he is also my family's urologist who took care of my father.
Good morning. My name is Adam Feldman. I'm one of the urologists here at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. I'd like to thank Dr. Stern and all of the organizers of the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day for inviting me to participate. I'm thrilled to be a part of this and be amongst my colleagues, Dr. Trin and Dr. Sokoloff, and to talk a little bit about screening and diagnosis in prostate cancer. I know Dr. Trin has already touched on the importance of equal access to care and reducing disparities, and screening and detection and early detection really go hand in hand with that. So I'll share my screen just to talk a little bit about some of the recent and sort of, I would say, some, not just the recent, but some of the important things to discuss in screening and detection, and what some of the issues and even controversies have been. So prostate cancer is the most common cancer in men other than skin cancer. In 2022, there were just under 270,000 cases, and it's the second most common cause of cancer death, with over 34,000 deaths in 2022, and about 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. This is a graph, two graphs, one that looks at prostate cancer incidence and over time, and this is the incidence over years from 1975 to 2015. And this dark red line here, magenta line, is prostate cancer. And what you see is a spike in the incidence. And this is when we started using PSA, which is prostate specific antigen, the blood test that we use to screen for prostate cancer. And we started using that in the early 90s. And the incidence then went up as we were detecting more cases, and then sort of went down as we had found those cases and leveled off at a higher level. And then interestingly, we see that in this time period here, where the rates of PSA testing actually declined, and that was really because of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, which had come out with a decision to not recommend PSA testing. I'll get back to that, but the incidence went down. And here then we can look at prostate cancer mortality, and we could see that in the era that we had been doing prostate cancer testing and early detection, that overall prostate cancer mortality did decrease. So I mentioned the decision by our U.S. Preventive Services Task Force in 2011 to not recommend PSA testing for screening for prostate cancer. And this is a long discussion, which we may not, likely don't have time to go into today as to the reasons, and there was certainly some disagreement, especially amongst people who take care of men with prostate cancer, about the data on which that decision was based. But what we found was that since that decision, and by the way, they reversed that decision, and they reversed that recommendation in 2018 to say go back to discussion of the risks and benefits of using PSA for screening for prostate cancer, and said, well, that wasn't the correct recommendation. But what we had seen in the interim was that the rates of screening for prostate cancer went down, and what also went down was the rates at which people presented with localized prostate cancer, and that the rates at which people presented with advanced or distant disease increased. And so that had implications for patient care and implications for the aggressiveness or intensity of treatment that they needed. So there are a lot of tests that are available, and this can be confusing for people, but there's PSA is a blood test. There are a few other blood tests that are available. One is prostate health index. The other is 4K score, and there are some different sort of iterations of PSA. There's percent-free PSA. None of them are perfect. There are some urine-based tests. One's called PCA3, which is a little bit older and probably really not used anymore because there are some newer tests that perform better. One is called, there's an exosome DX test and another test called Select MDX. Again, we don't have enough time to go through all the data, but these are potential options for evaluating men, for the risk of prostate cancer and for early detection. But we still largely really rely on PSA. And that's really the message, is PSA is really what we rely on for screening men in populations and for assessing their risk of prostate cancer. Now rely also heavily on imaging and the use of prostate MRI. And when somebody has an elevated PSA or a level of suspicion of having prostate cancer, really now our first move used to be to recommend a biopsy just by ultrasound, but now our first recommendation is an MRI, and that's because we can sometimes avoid a biopsy in men after an MRI, but also the MRI then can make our biopsy more accurate and can allow us to do a better job of identifying and characterizing what we would call clinically significant prostate cancer. And so this is just an image of using an MRI at the time of the biopsy when we use prostate ultrasound in order to target anything that looks suspicious on an MRI. And so this has been a big advance in our ability to characterize prostate cancer and detect prostate cancer, which would require treatment. So this is a very nice study that is looked at using MRI for biopsy or the sort of older way of just doing a non-targeted biopsy. And not to go into the details of the study, but this is just an example of evidence that when we use MRI and make decisions based on MRI and then use the MRI for targeting, that by using MRI ahead of time for evaluating men with an elevated PSA, we can avoid biopsy in many men. And in this study, it was 28% of men avoided biopsy by having an MRI first. And we can also reduce the detection of what we would call clinically insignificant prostate cancer. In other words, that which may never need treatment. Another recent advance in evaluating men for prostate cancer is how we do the prostate biopsy. This is an image of the pelvis. This is the bladder, the prostate. This is where the prostate sits, the rectum. And when a man has a prostate exam, it's examined by what's called a digital rectal exam, because that's a way that you can feel the prostate through the wall of the rectum. Historically, the biopsy of the prostate has been done where the needle goes through the wall of the rectum into the prostate. And that still is often done, but there potentially can be, there's certainly a risk of infection. The risk of infection is low, but nationally about 2 to 4%. And a newer way to evaluate the prostate and do the biopsies where the skin is sterilized. There's still an ultrasound in the rectum to show the prostate, but the needle goes through the skin directly into the prostate and actually significantly reduces the risk for infection. There's really no risk of rectal bleeding. And these are two of the main things that can bring patients to the emergency room after a biopsy. So this is another advance that we think is very helpful in evaluating men for prostate cancer and reducing the potential risks of that procedure. Another really important advance, and I think Dr. Sokolov may comment on this as well, is in imaging and using a new type of PET scan, what's called prostate-specific membrane antigen PET scan, and it's a scan that looks specifically for prostate cancer and for spread. And this was FDA approved within the past couple of years, and has gained traction in evaluating men with metastatic disease, but also or disease which has spread, but also in evaluating men initially when they're first diagnosed. And we're finding that this can better characterize, better stage men at diagnosis, particularly men with high risk disease, and even some appropriate intermediate risk patients. But this, I think, that we all agree is a major advance in evaluating patients and planning their treatment. We know that there is a real importance in screening men and detecting men early. We've seen that in the PSA era, and then the reduction in use of PSA leading to more advanced disease. And so what we want to do is and an important thing like today is to increase education about the importance of screening in all communities. Dr. Trin has talked about the importance, I should say, the disparities in care and the importance that improving equity in prostate cancer care provides, but also the importance of screening and early detection. And so we really want to improve access to screening, standard of care imaging, and standard of care urologic care. We want to reverse the trend toward presentation at higher stage disease that had occurred a decade ago, or with the last decade, and then to maintain past gains that we've seen in improved mortality. And we also want to think about who is appropriate for active surveillance. Sometimes I mentioned clinically insignificant disease, because not all prostate cancer necessarily needs treatment. Some men can be watched at first, with the possibility of then transitioning to treatment later. And I know Dr. Sokolov, I'm sure he'll talk about that. But we want to improve utilization of active surveillance when appropriate and offer that really to men of all communities. And again, we want to minimize morbidity of disease by treating early, identifying disease early, and minimize the morbidity of treatment in all men, including all communities. And as we think about increasing equity and reducing disparities, particularly in communities and men of color. So again, I really very much appreciate the opportunity to speak. I apologize that I can't be live, but look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to have this in person at some point in the future. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Feldman. I also would like to thank Senator Kennedy, who joined us for this event. Our next speaker is Dr. Mitchell Sokolov, professor and chairman of urology, University of Massachusetts Medical School. Similar to Dr. Trink and to Dr. Adam, Dr. Sokolov is one of the primary physicians serving patients within prostate cancer equity program. Dr. Sokolov, please.
Good morning. I'm Mitchell Sokolov. I am the chair as well as professor of urology at the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School and UMass Memorial Healthcare. It is a pleasure for me to participate in this year's Prostate Cancer Awareness Day at the State House. I'm sorry I cannot be here more in person, but am thrilled that I can participate remotely and wish to thank Dr. Stern and her team for enabling my participation. I was asked by Dr. Stern to provide some updates in prostate cancer management. It's always exciting to do so because every year we have improvements in how we are able to diagnose and treat prostate cancer. Treatment options continue to both broaden and focus in scope, meaning we have more choices available for our patients, and these choices are getting more precise and targeted. As a result, the effectiveness of our therapies continue to improve. Simultaneously, our abilities to mitigate the side effects of treatment is also increasing, thereby providing better care with less side effects to our patients. Finally, access to prostate cancer care for men continues to improve across the Commonwealth. We always want to remember the underlying goal of cancer therapeutics. We hope to maximize the elimination of cancer and cancer-related symptoms, to improve survival and longevity, and to decrease side effects and toxicities from these treatments. I am happy to announce that we are doing all of this successfully within the state of Massachusetts. The approach to best managing prostate cancer involves several steps. It starts with accurate diagnosis. We want appropriate and accessible screening. We want to make sure that we target the correct patient population, and we provide a panel of screening tests that can best determine who is at risk for developing prostate cancer while avoiding unnecessary diagnostic tests. To do this, we need to incorporate precision diagnostics. We want to combine the most effective and suitable combination of laboratory, radiologic, and pathologic tests. All of these are available here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The approach to management continues with determining the best appropriate treatment for a man with prostate cancer. In this case, we want to make sure that our options are the most personalized and individualized possible, as each person has different needs and expectations, and we want to tailor these management options to our individual patients. This requires accurate stratification, determining who will most benefit from treatment and how aggressive does the treatment need to be. In order of complexity and invasiveness, we have surveillance and observation, where we closely monitor our patients and intervene if and when the cancer is at risk for progressing. Throughout Massachusetts, we now have focal therapy using high-intensity focus ultrasound and other ablative technologies to target just cancerous portions of the prostate cancer. This is appropriate for select men with very low volume cancer who would benefit from treatment. Localized therapy, surgery, radiation, ablation. This is the traditional triad of treatments for prostate cancer, and obviously we're making improvements in each of these every year. Lastly, for that man with metastatic disease where the cancer has spread, we have several options of systemic therapy. We can interfere with the androgen system. We can target receptors that promote growth. We can target tumor deposits with destructive agents. Each year we get newer and newer technologies to better address metastatic disease. The final component to managing prostate cancer is the appropriate monitoring after treatment and intervention if there is a recurrence. For this, precision diagnostics play a key role, and I throw out as an example PSMA PET imaging, which is an extremely sensitive method of determining cancer recurrence and spread. Much as I've discussed before, we also want the most accurate and focused treatments to eliminate any recurrent disease while at the same time minimizing toxicities. The entire approach to improving outcomes starts with access to care. Central Massachusetts, where I practice as part of the University of Massachusetts and UMass Memorial Medical Center, has among the highest number of expatriate African and Afro-Caribbean communities, let alone American-born African-American populations in the region. This reflects immigration patterns from countries with the highest incidence of prostate cancer, and we have a high number of underserved population, individuals whose access to care is challenged by social and political determinants of health, and a lack of awareness and education about prostate cancer. We have spoken today about the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. This is an initiative through Dr. Stern and her organization AdMeTech to advance and assure access to best-in-class care for prostate cancer for men throughout the Commonwealth. This map represents the global hotspots for prostate cancer. I wish to focus on two specific areas, and I'm focusing on the Afro-Caribbean and Western and Central African countries because these have a high immigration pattern to Massachusetts. These are the men that I see quite often. They often present with aggressive disease and at a very young age. Because of this, Worcester County has been ground zero for prostate cancer incidence and mortality within the state. There's a table on the right side of the slide. This is used to demonstrate two things. Worcester County, in our county, the incidence of prostate cancer for a Black man is 2.3 times greater than that for a white man. This data is from when I first moved to Massachusetts and took over at the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School and UMass Memorial Medical Center. And at that time, the mortality in our county for a Black man with prostate cancer was 2.5 times greater than that for a Caucasian man in our same community. Fortunately, as we have developed programs, as we have expanded our outreach, prostate cancer mortality has decreased in central Massachusetts. It's all about access. It's about awareness and education, programs and initiatives that bring information about prostate cancer to men and their relatives. We do this with outreach to different religious and cultural organizations through a whole network of groups here in central Massachusetts, including AdMeTech. Because of this, we are able to enable those underserved populations in our region with access to state-of-the-art care. And as I mentioned, the Prostate Cancer Equity Program has been designed to advance and assure access to best-in-class care for men with prostate cancer. I am currently in one of those Afro-Caribbean-based countries. I'm not going to say where. These are some pictures of the local market and dining areas that I was in yesterday. This country boasts a 100% literacy rate and has a very appropriate standard of living. Yet as I was walking around with my wife yesterday in the central markets and communities, I was talking to some older men about prostate and prostate cancer. Most men did know about the prostate, mostly because they had had a digital exam at some point in their life or were scared of having a digital exam. Very few knew much about prostate cancer, the significance and the implications of a diagnosis, and the potential life-threatening nature. These are the populations that we are addressing in central Massachusetts and are crucial to the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. This program provides a network of prostate cancer centers of excellence throughout the state. This enables us to provide state-of-the-art, high-quality diagnostics and therapeutics. There are mechanisms in place so men from these underserved populations can access care at our institutions, and data is being collected and evaluated to provide for ongoing system enhancements and improvements. This is critical and vital to improving access and prostate cancer care for men in Massachusetts. In conclusion, I just want to once more reiterate the importance of these outreach programs for our practices here in central Massachusetts and for the men in central Massachusetts. Our goal is to connect the best medical resources in the state with effective access and education initiatives to make sure that we are providing comprehensive prostate cancer care for all of the citizens in the state of Massachusetts. Once again, I want to thank you all for inviting me to speak today, and it is a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Mitch. There was a question that we received about bringing advances in patient care and treatment of prostate cancer to Western Massachusetts. And actually, Dr. Sokolov at UMass had committed, and his team have committed to serve Western Massachusetts, including Hampden County, that has troubling prostate cancer statistics, in order to reverse the current trends. The next several speakers will share their story with prostate cancer. And our first speaker is Juan Caulfield, prostate cancer survivor. Juan, please.
Good afternoon. I am Juan Caulfield, and I'm delighted to be a part of this prostate cancer awareness event today. It is a subject matter that I feel strongly about. My relationship with Dr. Stern and at the AdMeTech Foundation started a number of years ago when I was president of the New England Area Conference of the NAACP. I have left that official position, but my relationship with AdMeTech and Dr. Stern continues. It continues because of my strong support of the prostate cancer awareness program that AdMeTech is doing so well with, and in spreading the word about prostate cancer. A further incentive for me to be active and supportive of the prostate cancer awareness program is because I'm a prostate cancer survivor, and I understand the problems with prostate cancer and the need for early detection of prostate cancer. It's particularly important because I'm Black, and Black males suffer in this area 2.5 times the rate of the general population of males, and so it's important that we spread the word. Prostate cancer is, in my opinion, something that we can certainly address and change the rate of deaths in prostate cancer by a general public awareness, and making sure that once prostate cancer is detected, that the appropriate treatment is provided. I am fortunate to have had an internist who understood the problems of prostate cancer, and which men were more at a higher risk than others. And he was started doing or testing me for prostate cancer with a PSA blood exam at an early stage, and he saw my blood level, my level rising, and after several years suggested that I see a urologist, and it went from there, and I was treated, and I'm pleased to, and that was probably 15, 16 years ago, and I'm pleased to be here with you today, and have become a strong advocate for prostate cancer awareness. One of the things that really has encouraged me greatly is the AdMeTech's initiation of the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. This is a program that is designed to see that those men with prostate cancer and are more subject to get prostate cancer at an early stage are being appropriately treated at an early stage. And I think that is a marvelous program that has been initiated by AdMeTech and Dr. Stern. And my thought is, or my understanding is, that this is probably the first program of its nature in the country. And the program is designed to, one, make appropriate resources available to high-risk men with prostate cancer, to help in scheduling with top-level practitioners who address prostate cancer, urologists and radiologists and others, and as a patient advocate. I think this is a terrific program, and my expectation is that in time we will significantly reduce the incidence of deaths from prostate cancer of African American men, and the level of deaths over time will look more like the general population. Again, I am pleased to be with you today to talk about prostate cancer awareness and the Prostate Cancer Equity Program. And let's continue to support AdMeTech in its work around prostate cancer. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much, Juan. Our next speaker is Harold Cox, Associate Dean for Public Health Practice and Professor for Community Health Sciences, Boston University. Professor Cox, please.
Hi, Dr. Stern. So I want to thank you very much for what you and your team are doing around prostate awareness and around the Equity Project. It's very important. I dealt with prostate cancer about 12 or 13 years ago, and there are a few things that stick out in my mind. So I want to address my concerns to 3 different audiences. The first audience is to individuals who have some kind of prostate issue. Your body is doing some things that you hadn't expected. You didn't ask for this. You're not in control of it. Things are happening to you. So I think that there are a few things that I learned that are very important. The first is it's important to understand everything that you can. There's lots of information that's going to be coming your way. Understand as much of it as you can, and what you don't understand, ask questions about. It's very important to ask questions. Please don't be afraid of asking questions. The second thing is don't do it by yourself. There's lots coming at you. There's a time when your emotions will be all over the place. Your body's doing things that you didn't expect. So take your partner, your friend, your spouse, someone who's important to you. Utilize the Navigator program that's part of the AdMeTech initiative, but don't do it by yourself. And then I would also say, take care of yourself. There are many things that will be happening during this time, and a little bit of tender loving care is okay. So whatever that thing is for you, maybe it's drinking a beer, maybe it's eating a Snickers bar, maybe it's spending time with a friend, maybe it's looking at a television program. Whatever that thing is for you, take care of yourself. That's my first audience. The second audience is to people who are clinicians. I want to thank you very much for what you do in taking care of those of us who are dealing with this. This is a complicated and difficult time. But there's one thing that I would ask you to do, and that is continue to listen. Now, I know that all of you trained as clinicians do that as just a regular part of your routine, but I also know that sometimes you get busy. Sometimes you've got lots of patients. You're dealing with electronic medical records. You're dealing with a variety of different kinds of things that can take up your time. But remember, you have a person sitting in front of you who's scared. So remember to listen. And the third audience is to legislators, policymakers, and administrators. Thank you for your interest in this particular topic. It is an important one to many of us, and I'm glad that you are now making it something that is important to you as well. So please use every opportunity that you can to help educate others about prostate cancer and men's health issues. There are many people who are very dependent on you. And then secondly, I would ask you to continue to look for sources of dollars that will help to support Navigator programs similar to this one and other kinds of activities that are going to be so important taking care of people who are dealing with prostate cancer. Dr. Stern, thank you very much for letting me to be a part of this initiative, and thank you for the work that you are doing.
Thank you so much, Professor Cox, and thank you for your guidance, extensive guidance that you provided us with in connection with Prostate Cancer Equity Program. Thank you. And for your incredible generosity with your time. Thank you. Our next speaker is Kenneth Elmore, president of the Dean College.
I've been living with cancer for about 7-8 years now, and I've been living with it, and that's the good news, that I've been able to do it. 2 stories come out of that, or at least 2 lessons. First lesson, go to the doctor. We've got to get ourselves there, especially those of us men of color. We've got to get to the doctors, and we've got to have regular checkups and visits. And I know that it's been difficult with all that's been happening with COVID and everything else. The other thing, too, is you've got to be able to accept those people who are extending you love, who are trying to care for you, and who are trying to give you advice and thoughts about how you deal with cancer. And not only that, but those folks who are trying to make sure that you understand whether or not you have it. I have a situation where I was going to skip a doctor's appointment, a long overdue doctor's appointment. And I remember my wife would have been incredibly angry at me for doing so. So I decided that I should go to the doctor. Well, thank goodness that I did, because my primary caught my PSA at this astronomical level, had me do some additional tests, and we found out that I was on the verge of stage 4 cancer. Thank goodness I went to that doctor that day. Thank goodness I had a primary who was on the ball. And thank goodness I had people extending me love, people like my wife and others who were able to say, you will get through this, you are going to be fine, and you will be able to live through it if there is an aftermath. And there has been. And I am feeling great and feeling well. But one of the things that I do, I accept the love that I get from people, and I also make sure that I got a regular checkup. That's a part of the love too. All the best to those of you who are out there dealing with this. And if you'd like to, I'm always available to have a conversation and to extend some love to you too.
Thank you so much, President Elmore. And our next speaker is a man who hardly needs my introduction, but here he is, Michael Curry, Administrator of NAACP New England Area Conference, member of the National Board of Directors, NAACP, and President and CEO of the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers. Mike, please.
My name is Michael Curry, and I am the Administrator for the New England Area Conference of the NAACP, representing NAACP units in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. I am standing here honored today to be supporting the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day and joining our colleagues in this fight to address prostate cancer, the AdMeTech Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the Community Health Awareness Network, and so many others. Thank you for the work that you all do, that we are doing together to fight prostate cancer. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in the US in the course of their lifetime. That number is even more devastating when you think about African American men. 1 in 6 will deal with the news that they have prostate cancer. We can do something about eradicating this disease and addressing the impact, the disparate impact it has on communities here and across the country. So as we join today for the 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day, know that the NAACP stands with you as we address health equity, as we address these critical issues in prostate cancer. Thank you.
So much, Mike. And I'm really excited about our evolving work with NAACP New England Conference. In 2014, we started with only Brockton branch, presenting our public awareness and education. By now, we are working extensively with over 10 branches of New England, NAACP New England Area Conference located across the state of Massachusetts. And this has been a very effective and productive partnership. We'll proceed with the next speaker. And this is Dr. Milagros Abreu, MD, MPH, and founder and president and CEO of Latino Health Insurance Program. Milagros, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Milagros Abreu. I'm the president, CEO, and founder of the Latino Health Insurance Program. We would like to thank the members of the legislature and everybody who is attending today, including AdMeTech Foundation, for your leadership. We are all here to celebrate the Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. Thank you. We're going to be talking now about our Prostate Cancer Awareness and Prevention Program. We wanted to thank AdMeTech Foundation. Thanks to these fundings and the legislators. These programs have helped us to establish an ongoing sustainable prostate cancer awareness program for Latinx and African American men in Massachusetts. Men enrolled in the program receive the following services: 101 education to discuss the risk to develop prostate cancer. These individuals have clinical encounter with licensed Massachusetts health professionals and informed decision making so they can make the best decisions about their health. LHIP clinician. These programs are also delivered in multiple languages, have received training from high-skilled professionals to meet the standard of care thanks to AdMeTech. We provide free PSA testing. This program has reduced disparities in access to healthcare and treatment for these men. We do also have to acknowledge the impact of COVID-19 for many of these men who have prostate cancer. They are at a higher risk for developing COVID-19, more serious disease. So we provide education about COVID-19 virus and providing them with the vaccines and testing. We refer these individuals to a specialist based on the results of their testings. They receive appropriate referral also, not only for urologists, but other specialists like cardiologists, endocrinologists, and so, because many of these men have other conditions. We also provide patient navigator to assist them, not only to them, but their families, to apply for medical dental coverage, evidence, nutritional programs, financial assistance, housing, and so. We understand that family is an important part of these programs. So these programs are being delivered not only to the men who can be at risk of prostate cancer, but also to family members, their wife, their mothers, and everyone in the household, because the support that they can get from the family members. And also, sometimes we as a woman are the one who make strong decisions about our men's health. So we wanted to make sure that they have the support and their understandings of the members in the home. So some of the important aspects of LHIP is our partnership across the state. We deliver these programs in multiple areas in Massachusetts. So this education and awareness has been delivered in Worcester, Boston, Framingham, and Metro West, thanks to our collaboration with faith-based organizations and also Board of Health, Housing Development departments, other organizations, and multiple other community members. Our organization has a commitment to prevention. So we believe that by providing strong education and screening access to members from these communities, we can have better health outcomes. We can improve the quality of life, and overall, we can reduce healthcare costs. Not only prostate cancer, our organization is also providing education, assistance, and other services, such as diabetes prevention program, breast cancer screening, and cervical cancer screening and education, and also vaccines for children and adults, and especially right now with the COVID-19 vaccine efforts. In our prostate cancer prevention program, many of these individuals has other conditions, and the majority of them were found that they are also diagnosed with hypertension, obesity, prediabetes, and other chronic diseases. So our efforts are also to educate them about how they can reduce their risk and to live healthier lives. So just to tell you about our program results from last year, 850 men received PSA screening and counseling about the risk of prostate cancer. 160 from these men received additional evaluation and treatment. 11 from these men were diagnosed with treatable prostate cancer. 200 of these men completed education, such as diabetes prevention program, diabetes self-management program, blood pressure screening and control, because they were found to have these other diseases, and we educate them about how to manage this condition. 800 of these men received the COVID-19 vaccine, and they were residents in Massachusetts from the following communities: Metro West, mostly from Framingham, Ashland, Erie, Worcester, Milford, and other communities in Massachusetts. I just want also to share with you the impact of our organization in 2022. Since 2006, our organization has served about 95,000 Massachusetts residents. Last year, 4,000 of these residents received assistance to apply for medical coverage. And in 2022, 2,000 of these residents benefit with health education and awareness, including the prostate Cancer Awareness Program, and we have estimated that we have saved $24 million in healthcare costs by delivering this program to these individuals. We wanted, with your support, to create equitable and accessible communities for all in Massachusetts. I would like to thank to each and every one of you who are attending this program, because with you, we are being able to do all these efforts in collaboration. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Milagros. LHIP has been an incredibly important partner to us in awareness, in providing clinical care. We've been watching with great excitement since we funded LHIP programs in prostate cancer. We've been watching it and actually trained them in clinical practice guidelines issued by National Comprehensive Cancer Network, how LHIP successfully applied these guidelines, screened, I don't know, thousands of people by now for prostate cancer under this program. LHIP has been saving on average 10 to 12 lives per year over the last 4 years since this program formally started. Our next speaker is William Watkins, who represents a new organization to our program, and we are very excited to initiate work with Urban League of Massachusetts, and Mr. Watkins heads Eastern branch in Boston. Mr. Watkins, please. Thank you so much for joining us today. I understand it is your first Prostate Cancer Awareness Day with us.
Yes, absolutely. But I can tell you, Doc, you are a godsend. Just hearing the stories and the people who have connected with you over these years and the trust that you have built in this community, to keep an eye on something that is really, really tragic. And making sure people are aware, and you've kept sounding the alarm, even though some people didn't want to hear it. You kept sounding the alarm, even though people could see it, and you just kept sounding the alarm. And I see, my good friend Bud Williams out west and others who are here. You're doing great work, and I think all of us here want to help and assist in any way in moving this needle. One of the things that I am interested in Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley says this a lot. Those who are closest to the pain should have the decision-making power to help in finding the solution. And I also look at when we are attacking, a fire, when we're attacking anything of great danger, we go right to the source. We go right to that particular area. I want to see one day that there is an AdMeTech clinic in these particular areas where there's a high concentration of individuals that are being affected by this. When we talk about transportation issues, that goes away. When you talk about having the best care possible, you bring the best care to where the problem, not the problem, but where people who are most affected. We've done for the past 15 plus years since 2011, done advocacy work. We have done putting out flyers and making sure tests are available. But I can tell you just personally, just dealing with diabetes, I have to go over to Longwood Avenue, and I got to decide on where I'm going to park. And if I go enough times, that starts to eat into my budget. So I can just imagine for those people that don't have, they have to have those difficult conversations on how to get there. But if there was that source of resources within my community that I can walk to, and I can see that the health disparities that we talk about, when we talk about these health disparities, it's always the individuals having to travel to. And sometimes that traveling, you go through that process of trying to figure out whether or not I even go. So I want to get to a space where we're building clinics with the best available sources. I heard my good friend there, the president of the NAACP, and talked about the amount of money he had to spend to survive. Why are we doing this to ourselves, humans? Why are we being put in a position where those who are affected have to pay the highest price possible in order to survive? And then, because of friends like you were able to connect him with the right resources to get the necessary resource to help him survive. And those are powerful, powerful testimonies. But let's think about flipping the physics. How can we get our state legislators to put dollars together to build clinics in these areas so that our best of the best would go into these areas? We do it in other third world countries. We send our best. Why not do that in our own neighborhoods? I think we have to have a real conversation about, if we want to increase the life expectancy of Black men, it can't be done from a distance. It's got to be hand-to-hand combat. And how do we do that? I think we have enough brilliant minds around this table, and I think the cachet of network that we have, I think that's the advocacy work that we need to build upon. How can we build these edifices in these different neighborhoods? And I'm not just talking about in the Black neighborhoods, I'm talking about in brown neighborhoods too, where it's specific to that language. There has to be a different way that we treat human beings on this earth. And it can't be divided into haves and the have-nots, because a lot of times when we're doing this research keeps going on and on and on, and depending upon who's financing the research. What really matters is people like you, doctor, people who are really willing to not put their words out there, but put actions behind them. So however the Urban League can be in support of any efforts moving forward from this point forward, I think we have to just do something a little bit different in terms of, I understand, and I think it was in one of the presentations that it talked about how African Americans are not trustworthy of these big operations. So why not? My grandfather said you cannot eat an elephant whole. You got to eat it a small bite at a time. So why not put these clinics into these areas, and it could be funded by those big operations? But why don't we do something different so that we can get a different result? Because when we look at 13, men out of 100 dying from this, it's incredible. And it's not going to get any better if we don't do anything different. But once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much. I don't even know how to thank you, but in the little bit of space I have, but whatever I can do, physically, mentally, from our perch here at the Urban League, we want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Watkins. And what you're saying particularly matters right now when Suffolk County is on the second place in Black mortality in Massachusetts. So we will be working together, but in the interim, and we will look at long-term solutions. There is no question that transportation is the key issue. And actually, to the point that we made transportation one of the supporting people's transportation, one of the priorities for prostate cancer equity program. Actually, Dr. Trink, who is a world authority on health disparities, has a project supported by Department of Defense to look on the impact of transportation on access to high quality care. And actually, patient navigator at Mass General Brigham, for example, is working not only with the clinical system, but also with private foundations to make sure men will have transportation costs covered and transportation organized for them, at least for now, to get to one of the hospitals at Mass General Brigham system. Okay.
Let me just say this, Doc, and it's unfortunate that we heard this today, but Josh Kraft had just come out and said he has prostate cancer. And what is going to happen is that there's going to be money put towards trying to save that individual, but we have to be cognizant of that this problem is not just a one-person problem, in that we need to bring to bear all of the networks that we can to get to those short and long-term solutions.
And there is no question on my mind. Healthcare systems or foundations like ours cannot do it on our own. I am very clear that we critically need support of community leaders such as yourself, because unfortunately in Black and Hispanic community, there is not much trust in medical establishment. So we critically need support of community leaders who are trusted. So when men get in trouble, or before hopefully they get in trouble, they will be encouraged to take care of themselves. And we have a resource to help them right now. Thank you so much for your participation. We look forward to our joint event in early September, and to make sure that together with you and with Boston NAACP, we will change situation in Suffolk County and our clinical colleagues. Our next speaker, last but not the least, is Steve Bernard, immediate past president of Brockton area branch NAACP and our treasured partner since 2015. Steve?
My name is Steve Bernard, former president of the Brockton area NAACP, a member of the Health Committee, and community coordinator for AdMeTech Prostate Cancer Awareness and Education Program in Brockton. On this 14th annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day at the State House, I have the honor of thanking AdMeTech Foundation, Dr. Faina Stern, President and CEO, for partnering with the Brockton area NAACP in the fight to ending the prostate cancer crisis in Brockton. In 2015, we learned that Brockton and Plymouth County had the highest prostate cancer mortality rate in the state, and that Brockton men are 2.5 times more likely to die from prostate cancer. Today, we can boast that Brockton and Plymouth County no longer have the highest prostate cancer mortality rate in the state. This is due in part to the outstanding work done by AdMeTech Foundation in partnership with the Brockton NAACP and Good Samaritan Medical Center. We spread the word throughout Brockton that for prostate cancer, early detection saves lives. AdMeTech launched their statewide program in research, education, and awareness with a primary focus on Brockton in 2016. The support that AdMeTech has provided to prostate cancer awareness and education in Brockton has been unwavering. In addition to hosting 2 prostate cancer awareness and education forums per year since 2016, Dr. Faina Stern has personally met with mayors Bill Carpenter and our present mayor, Robert Sullivan, members of the City Council, the Brockton State Delegation, including Senator Michael Brady, Representative Jerry Cassidy, Representative Claire Cronin, and Representative Michelle Dubois. We'd like to welcome our new state representative, Rita Mendez. Dr. Stern has also met with administrators at Brockton Hospital, Good Samaritan Medical Center, the Old Colony YMCA, members of the Brockton Rotary Club, church, and community leaders. They have in turn shared their support for our program with their constituencies. Dr. Stern has also been a host on Brockton Cable Access TV and the NAACP Forum on several occasions. The alliances we have formed over the years have been effective in our outreach to men of high risk of prostate cancer in the Brockton community. Attendance at our forums has been good and feedback very positive. We have successfully been empowering men to pay attention to their prostate health. Presenting at each of our forums are urology experts from hospitals including Massachusetts General Hospital and Brigham and Women's Hospital, Boston University Medical Center, Good Samaritan Medical Center, and Greater Boston Urology. Dr. Faina Stern, President and CEO of AdMeTech, we have a testimony by a prostate cancer survivor, a message of support from our mayor, Robert Sullivan, and during the pandemic, our forums have been held virtually. Our forums are entitled Prostate Cancer Awareness in Times of the COVID-19 Pandemic, with updates from Dr. Richard Herman, who is the medical consultant for the Brockton Mayor's Office, and he would give us an update on COVID-19 trends in the city of Brockton. More than 40 men have agreed to serve as ambassadors for our prostate cancer and awareness forums. They are called upon to encourage their friends and families to participate in future forums and to spread the word that early detection saves lives. They are invited to confer with Dr. Stern during planning meetings. Our next Prostate Cancer Awareness and Education Forum is scheduled for May 4th, 2023, and will be a virtual presentation. It is very important to the Brockton area NAACP, our President, Phyllis Ellis, and our Health Committee Chair, Janet Trask, our Vice President, Leona Martin, and our NAACP Forum host, Bishop Tony Branch, that I not only thank AdMeTech and Dr. Faina Stern for the work they have done, but also to congratulate them on their new Prostate Cancer Equity Program in Massachusetts. This program is established by AdMeTech Foundation in partnership with urology experts at the Massachusetts General Hospital and Brigham and Women's Hospital. This program, which is designed for saving lives and delivering high quality care for all, has already benefited men from Brockton. I would also like to give a special thanks to the doctors who have presented at our forums over the last several years. They include Dr. Andrus Zalls of Good Samaritan Medical Center, Dr. Ryan Frankel of the Greater Boston Urology, Dr. Guy Fish, who is the current president at the Greater Lawrence Health Center, Dr. Kwok Din Trin from Brigham and Women's Hospital, Dr. Ikena Mudeke, and Dr. Sean Wasson. I encourage everyone to visit AdMeTech Foundation at www.admetech.org to learn more about Prostate Cancer Equity Program in Massachusetts. Thank you, AdMeTech Foundation. Thank you, Dr. Stern, and congratulations on this 14th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness Day at the State House.
Steve, I want to particularly offer my gratitude for you teaching me since 2015 the critical importance of broad community engagement. Mayors, city council, local media, TV, print media, major organization, how to mobilize broad community engagement in order to create a major and positive impact on patient outcomes, and in our case, mortality of prostate cancer. Thank you so much for how much you taught us. over the last several years. Not so, actually, since 2015, 8 years. So thank you so much, Steve. And do we have any questions? Do we have any questions from Facebook? I would like to thank everyone for your participation in this event. It is a privilege for us to bring together key leaders of legislature, community organization, advocacy organization, leaders of medicine together in the hope that together we will make Massachusetts the first state in our country that eliminated health disparities in prostate cancer. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for your participation and have a great day.